The Pearl of Asia, Macau, where the West coexists with the East. Macau is famous for its unique blend of Asian and European culture. Chinese, yet not fully Chinese. European, yet not fully European. Let's fly to Macau and learn about the country's fascinating 450 years of history. The first place we visited was the Museum of Macau, where we could get introduced to the history of this country. The museum contains a variety of displays showing the unique history of Macau. They include miniatures of ordinary Macanese living and working in the old days, as well as their articles and the traditional Macanese architectures along the timeline.
The buildings were not 100% Chinese, but not 100% European either. The Macanese architecture is a product of the cross between the two styles.
Visitors can grasp what it was like to live in Macau in the old days with these miniature displays. From miniatures of ordinary folks in the marketplace to a lavish procession scene of a bride's palanquin on her wedding day. One display even shows wedding articles which were actually used by people in the old time. This is a typical traditional bed in which new Macanese couples spent their first night. Up to 450 years ago, Macau was considered a part of mainland China. Thus, the people retained their traditional Chinese lifestyles. But after the Portuguese arrived in the middle of the 16th century, Macau grew as a center of maritime trade between Asia and Europe, while quickly absorbing the latter's cultural influence. Since then, Macau has been the meeting point between the West and the East, resulting in its unique and rich blended culture. This section of the museum displays a typical late 17th century home of Macanese people. In this recreated home, traditional Chinese housewares sit side by side with European ones. Looks very nice indeed. But it came at a bitter cost. The island of Macau was very coveted by European powers for its strategic location and was repeatedly attacked. As a result, Macanese people suffered greatly. This fortress of Monte was the site of a battle against a Dutch fleet. Visitors come here to commemorate the courage of their ancestors who fought to defend the island.
I'm proud of my forefathers who fought here with bravery against the invaders.
Macau could grow and expand because there was the sea. Macau without the sea is unthinkable. The Museum of Maritime History is a must-visit place in order to gain the understanding of how Macau became what it is today.
Had it not been for the sea, there would have been no Macau as we know now. To the Macanese people, ships have always been very important.
Focusing on Chinese and Portuguese maritime activities, the museum displays a variety of Chinese junks, dragon boats, and Portuguese merchant and warships. There are also traditional Macanese ships of Chinese style equipped with European gun decks. And the miniature recreations of scenes in a small fishing village are detailed enough to take visitors back in time. In fact, the name of the island, Macau, originates from sea. Once upon a time, there was a lady called Ama. The lady always wished to go across the sea, but no one was willing to take her aboard their boat. Don't worry, I'll take you across the sea. Oh, thank you, you're so kind. During the trip, their ship ran into a fierce thunderstorm. But at the Lady Ama's command, the sea became calm again, and the sailors landed on shore safely. Since then, people began to worship her as Goddess Ama and called the island Amagao. Thus, the name Macau. Macau was first born when the Lady Ama set her foot on shore, but the island was born again when the Portuguese arrived. After landing on the island, the Portuguese first erected the Christian cross and then set out to colonize Macau as a center of their maritime trade. For a long time, the sea and ships were the bridge to the world for Macanese people. But besides ships, automobiles are another object of affection for Macanese people. Their love of the automobile is quite well known around the world. This is the Grand Prix Museum, which displays famous race cars and motorcycles around the globe.
These cars are the ones that were actually driven in races or on the road.
Macau is famous for hosting the F3 Macau Grand Prix, which is the greatest motorsports event in Asia. This museum was established to celebrate the 40th anniversary of hosting the event. Along with race cars and motorcycles, many world-famous automobiles are on display in this museum. Oh, what do we have here? It's the limo imported for the members of the Korean royalty many years ago. And in this place, there are so many other shiny and fabulous automobiles that captivate museum visitors. Of course, the visitors don't forget to get their photos taken with these splendid machines.
Although I can't ever buy cars like these, I can take their photos and pretend they're mine. I'm joking, of course. Honey, strike a sexy pose like race queens do.
Like this? Oh, I'm embarrassed.
No, you look better in this shot. It's fascinating here. We're having a great time.
In our travel in Macau, the fourth museum we visited was the one themed on pawn shops.
Welcome!
The museum was built over a real pawn shop which had been the oldest in Macau. The museum displays a variety of old articles and valuables left at the pawn shop by their owners.
The pawn shop ran its business as usual up until 10 years ago. Everything you see now is from that time.
What kind of things did customers pawn?
Anything of value.
Yes, the pawn shop was the last resort of desperate ordinary folks in need of some fast money.
It looks like a fake with little work. Let me see. I can only give you 300. Okay, here you go.
Oh, please, you've got to give me at least 500.
No way!
500, it's my family's treasure, for God's sake.
I'm telling you, no 500. All right, I'll be generous. Here, 200 more.
Transaction is confirmed by sealing the receipt.
Thank you very much.
From the deliberately high-case pawnbroker stand to real receipts and seals. And from iron cages housing customers' valuables to metal safe cabinets, the pawn shop is preserved in its original spotless clean state.
They kept real valuables close to the shop entrance. That's because they could carry the valuables out quickly in case of fire. This is a wooden building, so there was always danger of fire breaking out.
But pawn jewelries are not the only thing that requires careful looking after. This is the Museum of Wine, which displays almost everything there's to know about wine from its history to its production. As in other areas, Macau was much influenced by Portuguese in its food culture too. Macanese people have been very familiar with wines and they even produce their own. Macau is the first country in Asia which got acquainted with the European wines. Befitting the title, this museum in Macau has on display some 700 wines that have been aged for hundreds of years. Attracted by its tempting flavor, visitors gather before a wine tasting stand with a covetous gaze.
There are red wines and white wines. Today I have for you some white wine.
Splendid color and delicate flavor. Hey guys, I know they're free, but you should take it easy.
How is it?
It tastes good and sour and very clean.
I think I'm drunk already.
Watch and learn. This is the way to drink wine. It's said that wine makes people drunk not with its alcohol, but with its aura. and that it should be tasted with not just the tongue, but with all the other four senses. This is a wine restaurant that will satisfy your five senses. These are the finest and the most famous wine collected from all over the world. Okay, let's try some of them.
Sir, would you like to check for yourself the year on the bottle? Oh, yes, this is the wine. When selecting a bottle of wine, you should check for place and year of production and brand. They're most important.
It's also important to remove the cork instantly so as to not leave its debris in the bottle. It looks and smells wonderful. Who can resist that? Can I have some too?
It's very good. Wonderful.
Wine culture is similar around the world, but the wine culture in Macau has one unique feature. In Macau, the remaining wine is moved to a glass jar.
This is for the pleasure of the eyes. The wine looks much prettier in here. Wouldn't you agree?
Drinking wine is good for the skin too. My skin is nice because I drink wine.
Macanese think like Chinese and enjoy life like Europeans. Macau is the jewel created by combining the finest cultures of the East and West. The wonderful heritage of the people is what makes Macau shine so brightly.
When a hungry stomach sends the signal, people flock to snack alleys. Let's join them. From the wonderful snack alley of Mexico filled with delicious Spanish snacks and foods, to a hard-shelled mussel alley in Belgium famous for its long history of more than 100 years, and the extremely popular Satay Alley in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, we present snack alleys around the world. Called the Big Mosaic, Mexico is a land of diverse people and culture. Half of the Mexican population is a mixed race of people called mestizos. Diversity in race also applies to the diversity in foods and snacks. Among those, there's one that has captured the mouth of 100 million Mexican people. You can say wherever there are people, there's this snack too. It's the traditional Mexican cookies loved by people of all ages. Many of them are made with milk, sugar, and sweet potato. The most popular ones are dulce and caleta, known for extremely sweet taste.
Once you get to know the taste of Mexican cookies, you'll never get out of it. Tourists love our cookies.
We visited a Mexican home to find out how fond they are of the cookies. Mexicans eat 5 meals a day. They were having lunch at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. After a meal, they always eat dessert. This family favors very sweet dulce as their dessert.
I love dolce.
They especially love the feeling of sugar crumbs breaking and melting inside of their mouth. We eat a lot of meat for our meals, so we prefer sweet desserts. They refresh our mouth. Mexicans love sweet cookies, and one confectionery shop after another line up the streets. Santa Clara Street is a famous place in Mexico. The place is known as the Confectionery Alley. It's also a very popular place with tourists. The street is always busy with local residents as well as tourists. The 300-meter-long alley is literally filled with confectionery shops that sell all kinds of snacks, from typical cookies to old native Indian sweets.
From here to right and left, there are about 200 confectionery shops on this street. They sell all kinds of cookies at very low prices.
This confectionery alley is one of the favorite shopping stops for Mexican people. These confectionery shops were opened one by one during the Spanish colonial rule. These cookies are largely from Spain, but now they have become favorites of Mexican people. Since they're made with sweet potato, which comprise one of the Mexicans' main diets, the cookies can substitute for a meal for the people. Hey kid, do you like it?
I like chocolate the most.
Price differs widely depending on shape and size and ingredients used. In Mexico, buying cookies are an important part of the shopping routine for housewives. Serving the appropriate cookie as dessert after a meal is considered a housewife's virtue. I bought some cookies for this evening's supper. Since I'm going to cook a spicy meat dish tonight, I selected very sweet cookies. Located in northwest Europe, Belgium is a country of 10 million people. Belgium is a small nation bordering the Netherlands, France, Luxembourg, and Germany. But Belgium is a very popular country with the world's tourists. It draws 13 million tourists every year. One of its attractions is food. Belgian cuisines are as renowned as the world-famous French cuisines.
Belgian cuisines will please your eyes as well as your mouth.
There's a traditional Belgian dish very popular with locals and tourists alike. You can call it the national dish of the Belgian people. It's the hard-shelled mussel. I waited 30 minutes to have this mussel dish, and I think it was worth it. It's really wonderful. You can't find a dish like this anywhere else. If you want to taste these fat, irresistible mussels to your heart's content, you should come to the Mussel Alley in Belgium. Look at this! It simply looks heavenly! The first thing that catches your eye in the Mussel Alley is the arcade known as King Street. It used to be the shopping street for aristocrats in the old days. Now the arcade is filled with expensive jewelry shops and fashion boutiques. One side of the arcade is a street cafe, so people can take a break from their shopping here.
When I want to shop or eat something nice with my friends, I come here.
Next to the King Streets are rows of restaurants. Half of these restaurants serve no menus other than mussel dishes. Among them, a restaurant called Léon is the most famous one. The restaurant has always been very popular since its opening in 1893.
At the start, this restaurant sold steamed mussels to tradesmen out buying their goods. He's my father over there. From his time, we've been serving our customers with the same excellent taste. We have a branch restaurant in France and Japan, too.
The Léon uses a ton of mussels each day. Okay, let's go see the making of wonderful mussel dishes. After washing fresh mussels in water, they're seasoned with black peppers and salt to remove the mussel's typical fishy smell. And then a ball of sweet butter is added. After putting some scallions, the mussels are boiled. Cooked mussels are mixed with the soup by shaking the pot. And now the Belgian-style steamed mussels named Mule Classique is ready. Its look alone is enough to make people's mouth water. A dish of Mule Classique costs $12. But there's more. The puffed-up mussels are placed on a round cooking frame with multiple grooves. And then spicy and tangy garlic sauce is spread in a thick circle on the mussels. Next, the mussels are cooked in the oven for 10 to 15 minutes. The result is fantastic mussel dish called mule escargot. The mussels in the dish indeed look fantastic. Who can resist these mussels? The Belgian mussel dishes are not only famous for their original taste, but also for the way they're supposed to be enjoyed. First, they eat mussel flesh and drink the soup. And then they use an empty shell to gouge out mussel flesh from another shell.
It's really easy. It's fun eating the shelled mussels, and they taste great. I love them.
This soup is wonderfully tasty, and the mussel flesh very nice and chewy. This is Malaysia in the heart of Southeast Asia. Malaysia is a multi-ethnic state with population of Malay, Chinese, and Indonesians living together. The most famous snack alley in this country is Gurney Drive Street in Penang. After sunset, the street begins to bustle with people who come out for some night snacks and food. The street is filled with vendors selling all kinds of snacks and fares that will satisfy even the most picky customers. And among the hundreds of snacks and foods, there's a #1 menu that every local highly recommends.
It's the best. You can get it over there.
The people's favorite nighttime snack is this one. They're grilling something over a wild flame with ceaseless fanning. It's called satay. It's the most popular snack for the people of Malaysia. Oh, my eyes sting. Oh.
Do they sell well?
Yes, they do. They're gone as soon as they are ready. People can visit downtown of Kuala Lumpur to see how beloved the snack called satay is. There's a big display of the snack in the middle of the city. There's also a restaurant town specializing only in satay menus.
They're so popular that you can't imagine Malaysia without satays.
You can call the satay the national fare of Malaysia. It was first introduced in this country in the 1920s by Indonesian immigrants. Asians are familiar with satays too. After the first introduction a few years ago, they have become very popular. Satays are prepared with a variety of meat.
We use chicken, veal, beef, and many others.
When grilling, sauce made with coconut oil and curry powders is added to satays. Also, oil is continuously sprinkled on the pan for speedy instant grilling. These are finished satays, the national fare of Malaysian people. The people never get tired of satays, and the vendors are always busy with customers. 10 sticks of satays cost about $1.20. Because of their low price, satays are the favorite menu of couples out on a date or families eating out. Oh, it must be delicious. You can eat satays any time of day. That's the nice thing about satays. I never get tired of them. They're really delicious. Snack alleys around the world offer great taste with a warm smile. For cheap, delicious foods and a unique memory, people of the world continue to flock to their favorite snack alleys.
Let's travel to Thailand, the land of tropical charm. We introduce 100 ways to enjoy your travel in Thailand. Tourists of the world, come to this place from a marvelous elephant show in Rose Garden. And beautiful traditional Thai dance to thrilling Muay Thai kickboxing matches. And the fascinating bed restaurant in Bangkok, we present you Exciting Thailand. Let's go! This is Thailand, in the heart of Southeast Asia. Its capital, Bangkok, is a city that thrives on tourism. The pristine natural beauty of the country is beautiful and exotic enough to open the heart and eyes of tourists from all over the world. Thailand is one of the most popular destinations for tourists as well. The country is filled with exotic and novel sights and sceneries in every direction. In Thailand, the place to visit to enjoy the traditional culture of Thai people is the Rose Garden, located in the southwestern area outside of Bangkok. Between every November and January, roses grow to full bloom in the garden. The garden features traditional Thai villages and towns. The Rose Garden is a popular tourist attraction of Thailand. Another very popular feature of the garden is its elephant show. In this land known as the paradise of wild animals, elephants are especially valued by the Thai people. Tourists love to get their picture taken with these enormous creatures and are ready to accept a pleasant greeting from the animal. The elephant show draws large crowds. As soon as the start of the elephant show is announced, people flock to the spectator stands in great anticipation. As expected, the Thai elephants don't disappoint the spectators. With the huge body weighing of up to 5,000 kilograms, each elephant walks between the lying people in gentle and careful steps. How marvelous! Elephants are the most intelligent animals following the whale. With good understanding of their act, they perform amazing stunts. They even dance, and a little girl follows suit. Using their long nose, they spray water like a fire hose. It's an easy routine for them. The spectators are marveled at the elephant's amazing stunts.
It's very fun.
Is it your first visit here?
Yes, this is my first tour stop in Thailand.
I'm excited like a little kid. This place is much more exciting than I expected.
Tourists busy themselves with getting the exotic sights of the garden in their camera. Every year, 8 million tourists from all over the world visit Thailand. It's not difficult to see how hard the Thai people work to make their country a giant in world tourism. They succeeded in turning their traditions and customs into a great attraction for world tourists. Also, the Rose Garden is very famous for its traditional Thai dance performances. Okay, it's time to watch the show. Let's go to the dance performance venue. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, exotic traditional dances that captivate foreign tourists are staged every day. We followed other tourists into the venue. People were watching a pre-show with their eyes fixed at the stage. At last, the main show begins. A lavishly costumed dance performs a traditional dance in slow and delicate motions. The venue features 12 different themed dances, all aimed at showcasing traditional lifestyles and customs of Thai people. In modernized Bangkok with all the high-tech glitz, visiting the Rose Garden is a wonderful way to get introduced to the traditional culture of this nation. But the real highlight of the venue shows is the Muay Thai kickboxing matches. Muay Thai is the national martial arts of Thai people and one of the most famous tourist attractions in the country. The matches put on here are all scripted like professional wrestling, but are exciting nonetheless. Muay Thai kickboxers are allowed to use the hands, legs, knees, and elbows. Foreign tourists watch the match with great interest. Currently, Muay Thai is a very popular martial arts discipline around the world. Its instruction on self-defense draws a large number of female students as well. Unlike other mixed martial arts shows, Muay Thai puts equal emphasis on mental training. Some enjoy the matches lightheartedly, while others take a more serious approach to the experience. To lighten up the atmosphere, actors on the stage frequently put on comical acts. every Muay Thai bout is fought in honor of the Thai king and god. In the old days, bouts were fought to the death. Along with Kung Fu, Karate, and Taekwondo, Muay Thai is the world's most popular martial arts discipline. Muay Thai kickboxing is something that should not be missed by tourists traveling in Thailand.
I was greatly thrilled by the matches. It was a nice way to experience the traditional culture of the Thai people.
The finale of the show is a parade by all performers holding national flags of many countries. It's definitely a nice way to welcome tourists from all over the world. It feels good to see the flag of your country among them. So the traditional performance show at the Rose Garden comes to an end. When the heat of the day subsides after sundown, the streets of Bangkok become even more busier. This time, we visit a place in the busy downtown of Bangkok. But from the beginning, the place gave us a suspicious feeling. Two men of a bit intimidating look and stance greeted us at the entrance. Hey guys, what is that you're holding in your hand?
What is that?
This?
Yes, please tell us.
We use this to protect our patrons. We're responsible for their safety.
His answer made us even more curious. Hey guys, what's this place all about? Why are there so many security guards around here? Please tell us. Soon we learned that you couldn't get into this place without a reservation.
You don't need to get intimidated. We just want to make our patrons comfortable and relaxed.
As it turned out, the place was a restaurant. The first thing we noticed as soon as we stepped in was these people. A few seconds after greeting the pretty lady, we found out she was reading tarot cards for her customers. Fortune telling in Thailand is as popular as in other Asian countries, but in this country, tarot card reading is much more popular. Tarot card reading is used to predict one's fortune in money, love, health, and many other issues.
I'm going to shuffle the cards and you ask questions. 1, 2, 3.
The men look quite serious about the whole affair. Perhaps the tarot card teller is doing a very good job here.
Tarot cards are all about prophecy. Think carefully what the cards tell you and act accordingly. Try it for yourself.
Besides the tarot card service, the restaurant is popular for its bed seats. Patrons can lie down or stay in any comfortable position of their choice. Thus, the restaurant is named Bed Supper Club. The whole idea is very original.
We choose comfortable beds instead of hard chairs that other restaurants have in their places. People can come here and relax in comfort.
In this restaurant, people can be at ease as if they were in their own bedroom. Almost all patrons were without their shoes or socks, as if they were ready to go to sleep in their own bed. In their comfortable position, patrons can chat with friends, eat, read, and sleep. It sure sounds like a nice way to blow off stress.
I came here because I heard good things about this place. It's really unique and nice here. It's tremendously relaxing. I guess I'm coming here more often.
The club even provides a massage service for its patrons. And there's another interesting thing about this place. It's the unique uniform all employees are wearing. Just like the wall color, their uniforms are all white. What's that all about?
We change the interior every season. This season's theme is very cool-looking South Pole and Eskimos.
Of course, the theme won't be complete without ice. An event of ice sculpturing was in progress in the middle of the restaurant. What are they making? Oh, it's a statue of an ice cat.
When you feel you're worn out by Thailand's heat during your travel, come to our place. It'll definitely cool you down.
It sure looks like a smart way to cope with hot weather in Thailand. Thailand is a country filled with exotic traditional charms and novel experiences. No wonder the country draws a huge number of tourists from all over the world every year.
Let's travel around the world and taste dishes that are marvelous in taste. From the sujebi and kalguksu noodle soup dishes from the green grassland of Mongolia. And the thick, fat, chewy Egyptian sundae sausage. To incredibly hot and spicy Hungarian peppered fish soup, we present similar dishes around the world. Let's start! This is Mongolia in the green heartland of the Asian continent. Mongolia is a big country filled with many wonders. In the capital city of Ulaanbaatar are scenes that would grab anyone's attention instantly. Is this Korea or Mongolia? The city overflows with signs written in Korean language. And what's the national flag of Korea doing here? In fact, Mongolia has been the center of the Korean Way for a long time. As long as something's Korean, it's almost guaranteed to attract people's favor. But it doesn't end there. Mongolians look remarkably similar to Koreans. Also, currently in the country, a lot of Mongolians are making great effort to learn Korean.
Kimchi stew, kimbap, japchae noodles, bean paste stew. As I learn more, I find a lot of similarities between our language and the Korean.
The more you learn about the Mongolian people, you find there are remarkable resemblances between them and Koreans. The same goes for the food of the two countries. The Mongolians have been living as nomadic herders in a land 16 times the size of Korea. Thus, the similarities between the two nations become even more puzzling. To find some answers, we visited a home.
This is our traditional home called gur. We nomads still live in gurs. Please come in.
This is the interior of the gur. As we looked around, we noticed lines of dried meat called birds hanging down on a rope.
Looks like no big deal, but birds is great food. In the old days, Genghis Khan always took birds as provision for his campaign. Let me make a dish with birds.
The lady begins to hammer a piece of birds. Koreans do the same when preparing dried walleye. The dried birds are a good source of protein and other nutrients for the people living in the grassland. They're also very easy to preserve and to use for cooking. After boiling the birds for a while, the lady begins to tear pieces of wheat flour dough into the pot. This dish reminds us of Korean wheat flake soup called sujebi. It's a hearty combination soup of nutritious birds and cooked dough. You can call it the Mongolian-style sujebi. In Mongolian, the dish is called tasansal goritsle. The dish is a sort of night supplement to a supper meal. Like the sujebi, the hearty soup can easily fill up the empty stomachs of simple folks.
The soup is a great friend to us people living in the grassland. Would you like to try a bowl?
To learn more about the similarity, we visited a small restaurant in the city.
You came from Korea? Oh, welcome. Let me show you some dishes that my Korean customers especially like.
The lady showed a noodle dish called chilson gorisle. It was a Mongolian version of the Korean noodles called kalguksu. Except that they used veal instead of clams, it was exactly the same as Korean kalguksu noodle soup. But unlike Koreans who eat kalguksu once in a while for a change, Mongolians think of the dish as the best delicacy and eat it almost every day.
Foreign visitors try this dish at least once before they leave Mongolia. The dish suits many different people's taste.
This is another Mongolian dish we found similar to a Korean dish.
Here you go. You can think of it as Mongolian-style kalguksu.
From every angle, the dish looks exactly the same as kalguksu. It must have a very similar taste too. Amazingly, this little place sells more than 100 dishes for her Chirsan Koitsle. That tells something about the taste of the noodle dish. It's a light meal which people find convenient.
You don't need other side dishes when you have this. It's good for a meal. The soup is wonderfully hearty too.
Okay, time to move on to another dish.
Welcome, welcome. We've been waiting for you all.
Come in, make yourself at home.
Their warm welcome made us expect something very nice.
This is a special menu.
The old lady treated us to a dish called pundache horak, a Mongolian version of Korean japchae.
This dish is difficult to make, so we prepare it only for special occasions.
The first thing we noticed on the kitchen table was dried noodles. From the beginning step of the bloating the noodles in water to the finish, every step and ingredient used were the same as making of the japchae dish. We were pleasantly surprised at all of these resemblances. With all the vegetables and meat, the dish looked no less tempting than the great japchae. As the last step, the lady grabs a noodle to check the taste.
It's very good. It tastes right.
Like Koreans, Mongolians usually make and eat japchae for their special occasions. When you're in Mongolia and find yourself missing Korean food, go for Mongolian sujebi, kalguksu, and japchae. Let's fly to the land of mystery in the northeastern part of the African continent. This is Egypt, the land of pyramids and the Sphinx. The country thrives on tourism. A staggering 8 million tourists visit Egypt each year. With 70 million natives added to the number, streets are always busy with people in this country of many exotic charms. We set out to find some dishes that are similar to our own in this foreign land.
People love the food. I think it's the best. You should really try it.
These familiar-looking things are Egyptian version of Korean sundae sausage called moonbara.
To make moonbara, you should first clean out the inside of cow intestine very carefully.
Since Muslims are forbidden to eat pork, they use cow's intestines to make their sundae sausages, whereas Koreans use pig intestines. Secondly, the Egyptian sausage is filled with rice instead of noodles. Before inserting, the rice is mixed with sliced onions and many other vegetables. Also, tomato is added to the rice mixture. In all, Egyptians use different skin and contents for their sundae sausage. And another difference is the use of spice.
As you can see, we use lots and lots of spices for our dishes.
The ingredients are mixed well by hand. Next is the important job of filling the intestines with these contents. We were told that the job isn't as easy as it looks.
If you do it incorrectly, the side of the intestine can blow open. You should fill the inside very thoroughly.
Some room is left inside the skin because rice balls grow in size during cooking. Next, the filled intestines are boiled in hot meat soup.
They'll be ready in a moment.
The Egyptian sausage is hugely popular, so the man has to repeat the routine many times a day. After 2 hours of boiling, cooked mumbaras are taken out. The thick, fat shape indeed reminds us of the Korean sundae sausage. But there's one crucial difference between mumbara and sundae sausage. Cooked mumbara is cut to a smaller size and fried in oil again. The yellowish color is a sign that they're ready. They're cut to an even smaller size and placed on a dish for serving. Although mumbara is made with different ingredients and prepared in a different manner, the Egyptian sausage looks very similar to the Korean sundae sausage. The wholesome dish of mumbara is a very popular substitute for a lunch meal in Egypt.
I come here to eat moonbara every day. They taste great and it is very satisfying. There's nothing like our moonbara.
We flew to Hungary and Europe in search of yet another similar dish. Despite the huge difference between the two food cultures, we were told that there's one dish in Hungary that is surprisingly similar to Korea. We visited a restaurant in the suburb of Budapest to see for ourselves. On the outside, the restaurant looks like a pretty ordinary place. But in fact, this is one of the most renowned restaurants in Hungary, highly praised by people with refined tastes. Okay, let's see what the #1 menu in this restaurant is. Oh, they must be having something real good. Everyone seems to be lost in eating their dish. The dish they're having with a heated red face is a very hot and spicy fish soup called hurlasri. Since Hungary is an inland country, the people can't enjoy much seafood in terms of variety. But for the dish of hurlasri, only the best quality carp from the Danube River is used. Okay, let's see how the famous Hungarian fish soup is prepared. Hungarians are fond of hot and spicy taste as much as Koreans. Not surprisingly, all the ingredients from big onions to paprikas and the seasoning agents known for its hot and spicy taste are used from the beginning. Next, the base materials are boiled in hot water.
Look here. If you boil it for 1 hour, you get this thick and hearty soup.
The soup in this state is not for consumption. The soup is filtered through a sieve to a much thinner state.
Oh, it smells very tangy.
For even more spiciness, the chef adds plenty more of red peppers.
It's time to make cuts on the carp's flesh.
The carp flesh is cut and then placed in the red soup to be cooked lightly. This is hurlasri with the soft taste of carp's flesh boiled in red-hot soup. An average of more than 200 patrons visit the restaurant daily for the dish of hurlasri, which is hot and spicy enough to make their eyes watery. Hurlasri is enjoyed with bread rather than cooked rice, as in our case of enjoying peppered fish soup. Then what does hurlasri really taste like?
It's indescribable. It refreshes your body inside and out. It may be different from Korean peppered fish soup, but you'll definitely love our hurlasri. I highly recommend it.
Dishes around the world that have fascinating resemblances of some Korean dishes. There may be small and large differences in the ingredients used and in manner of preparation, but they're all wonderful in that they fill up hungry stomachs and put a big smile on people's faces.